My name is Susan Zink, and I'd like to welcome you to Montessori for Everybody. I've been studying education for over 30 years, and I found myself back at the place that I started, which is with a wonderful method or approach to education called Montessori. Maria Montessori was a doctor, one of the first physicians in Italy, and her program started with several different experiments, including one with children in the slums of Italy and right after the turn of the century. She found that with those children she could create experiences that people found remarkable. There were things like early reading and other aspects of her method that caused people to give it attention. But the real heart of Montessori education is that we are allowing the true amazing potential of children and adults to come into being. That's what I hope to share with you through the format of this television show. What we're going to do is, in our segments, start with things that I believe would be useful to anyone, whether you're a parent, an educator, even a teacher educator. And what I'd like to do is offer some of the aspects of Montessori education that can help you be more effective. In this first segment, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about a way to approach classic Montessori education. If you are familiar with Montessori already, you know that there is a triad that is always taught in Montessori education. The child is perhaps the primary aspect of it. You could imagine the child or the learner as the point at the top of a triangle. Then one of the legs of the triangle, one of the base points, is the adult. In Montessori, sometimes we call that person in the classroom the guide or the director. I actually like the term mentor. I know that term is usually used when we're talking about adults helping other adults learn, but in this new role that Montessori envisioned and that I share of the way that an adult can help a child to learn, I like the term mentor. So the mentor is at one bottom point of that triangle, and the other bottom point of that triangle is the environment. So what we are doing as mentors is, and whether that's a parent or a classroom educator, usually known as a teacher, that mentor's job is to help that child learn with a lot of assistance from the environment. One aspect of Montessori education that a lot of people are aware of is that there are a lot of special learning materials. What some people aren't as aware of is that any environment can be adapted to help people to learn more effectively. In this segment, I'm going to talk a little bit about how that's done, about how we make the environment more accessible to the learner. In this case, I am going to focus on children, and how we can use that to leave the responsibility for learning with the child while never leaving them adrift, never leaving them without what they do need in order to learn effectively. Even though anytime you go into a school for young children at this point, you're going to see child-sized furniture, that was definitely not always the case. Even 30 years ago, when I was opening my first Montessori school, I had trouble finding soft furniture for children to sit and read a book. Now it's not uncommon at almost any store to be able to find lawn furniture, living room furniture, anything for children. So we are still catching up to some of the ideas that Montessori put forth so many years ago. One way that you can help your children to be more independent, to help them feel like they are capable, and to eventually make things easier on yourself, is to make sure that you have set up the environment in such a way that children can be successful and can take care of their own needs as independently as possible. Now, the school that we're filming in is in a remodeled home, so it's a really nice setting to help describe some of the ways that we need to adapt things for children. This is not a child-sized sink, this is a regular-sized sink, so children are not going to be able to reach with the sink the way that it is. It's very easy to fix that by making sure that you've got stools anytime that you're in a situation where children are going to need to get to something that's adult size, whether that's helping at a kitchen counter, or whether it's getting to a sink to wash hands or to fill glasses or take care of art supplies, anything like that. Now you'll also notice that in this general area we've got a few other things that have been designed to help the children to be able to take care of their environment. We make sure that they've got the tools to take care of their environment. This is the eating area, the snack and the lunch area of the school. So down where the children can take care of it and reach it easily at the end of snack or lunch time is a whisk broom and a dustpan. The children are taught how to clean up after themselves, and we make sure that the tools that they need are nearby. Now in this case, a regular one is fine. If we're talking a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, even this wouldn't be appropriate. We need a little smaller one so that it would fit the child's hands. Also, we have hooks down where the children can reach their towels and make sure that they can take care of drying their hands after they've done any hand washing. Now we're going to look at an area where we can use furniture that's a little bit more at the child's level rather than them having to get up on a stool. We've got our snack set up here. Here I will point out that we're making sure that dishes are a size that fits a child's hands. When we teach a child to pour, it's going to be very, very difficult for a 5-year-old, much less a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old, both of which are very capable of learning to pour their own beverages. It's going to be very hard for them to do that if they've got an adult-sized pitcher. So we've got a pitcher. Notice that it is glass. If they drop it, it will break. And we'll talk a little bit more in a few minutes about why that's an appropriate thing. But with the pitcher, it's very possible to teach them how to pour properly. Now when we teach a child to pour, we point out to them the fact that the glass that they're going to use, also child size, isn't going to go anywhere. Now for filming purposes, I'm just going to hold it in my hand for a moment, and then I'm going to put it down, because what children will tend to do if you don't instruct them in pouring is they will hold on to the glass and they'll hold on to the pitcher. And that's a little bit of a problem. You have plenty of control with just using your dominant hand to pour, but most children don't. So when I teach them to pour, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them the glass is going to sit there. We're not going to teach them to pour holding a glass. We're going to have them set it on a table. And then we instruct them to use that support hand, and that's what I tell children it's called, to help them keep control of the pitcher. Because if you've got a young child learning, they're going to need that. They're going to need both hands to be able to control the flow of the water out of the pitcher. So that's just a simple way that we're going to use the environment to help the children be successful, help them be able to take care of their environment, help them be able to take care of their own bodily needs, like getting a glass of water or something like that. If you're not familiar with Montessori education and the part of the curriculum for young children aged 3 to 6 called the Practical Life curriculum, it might have been a surprise to you that I used a glass pitcher when I was illustrating how we would teach children who were ages 2 to 5 to pour. Control of error is a very important concept in Montessori, and it's naturally occurring in our environment. If you leave things out sitting on the floor, the natural consequence is you're going to trip over them. So one of the things that happens if children leave toys on the floor is that they can end up tripping on them. This kind of control of error is something that we manage in a Montessori environment, whether it's a Montessori home environment or a classroom environment. When children work with glass, the natural consequence of not handling it appropriately is it falls and breaks. This is a wonderful thing. If we develop a friendly feeling toward error, that's one of the things Maria Montessori encouraged us to do, that is one of the best gifts that we can give to the children that we're teaching. When a glass drops and breaks, it's just information. It's just the environment telling us that we need to change the way that we're doing things. If you're going to follow the Montessori approach to the environment, you're going to need to follow the philosophy as well. If you're using real glass in teaching children pouring and other food preparation and etiquette at the table, it's important before you do that to make sure you know how you're going to handle mistakes. How are you going to handle it if the glass drops and breaks? How are you going to handle it if the pitcher breaks? If you take this as, oh, we didn't handle that quite well enough, I guess maybe we didn't hold on well enough, or we didn't watch when we set it down on the edge of the table and it was partially off the edge and it fell off and broke. Oh well, I guess we need to clean up. If you have the dustpan and the whisk broom available so that the children can clean up their messes and it's just treated as one more learning experience, it will be incredibly powerful. The likelihood that the child will make those mistakes goes way down. But if those mistakes are not handled carefully, if they're handled in a way that something terrible has happened, it's not going to be what you're looking for at all. So I do encourage you to set up those kinds of controls of error, but also make sure that you're ready to have a friendly feeling toward those errors so you can share that approach with the children as well as the learning that comes from the mistakes that the control of error pointed out. The child needs to do things by himself from the beginning of life. From the moment he is capable of doing things, this urge is revealed again and again by the child. Maria Montessori, in What You Should Know About Your Child. We have so often heard children of a few years of age say, "Help me do it by myself." By helping the child to do things by himself, you are helping the independence of the child. From the earliest possible age, the child must be provided with things which may help him to do things by himself. One test of the correctness of educational procedure is the happiness of the child itself. For a growing organism, growth itself is happiness. The growth of the child is by means of activity. Activity, according to vital laws of development, is happiness. The last part of our program was filmed at the 2013 International Montessori Congress in Portland. The event was significant because it brought together all the large Montessori associations working together with Association Montessori International to unite the Montessori community. In each of our episodes, in addition to quotations from Maria Montessori's written works, we will feature other resources that will help you use her ideas with your children or students. These will include places to go for information, as well as materials to use in your home or classroom. Some segments, such as the next ones filmed on the exhibitor's floor at the 2013 International Montessori Congress, may appeal to those with children or students of specific ages or specifically to Montessori classroom educators. Segments that capture the energy of live conferences suffer in sound quality, but we think the content is worth it and we hope you do too. Even if you will not be able to take advantage of the AMS conference, be sure to visit their website for many resources that will help any Montessori parents or educators. Consider becoming a member to help support their excellent work. I'm here at the International Montessori Conference, and we're going to visit with the American Montessori Society, and they're going to tell you about some things they have to offer, including their annual conference in Dallas.
Hi, I'm Marcy Krieger, AMS Senior Director of Marketing and Communications, and we're very excited to be at AMI's International Congress, where we can be meeting with lots of great folks from AMI and other organizations and tell them about our upcoming conference. Here's our poster for it in Dallas, Texas, March 27th to 30th.
I'm Julie Bragdon. I'm member at large on the board of directors for AMS and also the family representative, and I'm excited to be welcoming parents to the conference as well for a great community day for them as well.
And I'm Amy Henderson, one of the co-chairs of the conference, and we are going to have a day on Saturday designed specially for parents. We'll also offer over 100 workshops for teachers to attend. It'll be a great conference, something for everyone.
I'm Judy Barlow. I have been a Montessori teacher for many, many years, and I've been on the board. I also serve as president of the AMI board, and I'm very happy to be at this international conference, and do look forward to seeing many of you at our conference now.
There are many reasons to join AMS, and I know my colleagues things. We'll be talking about some of them with you. I'd like to point out one on a very concrete level. If you become a member of AMS, you get a copy of our quarterly magazine, Montessori Life. We publish one each season. And while you could subscribe to the magazine as a non-member, it costs so little more to get a membership and the magazine as well. I think it's really well worth the few extra dollars. In addition, you get access to an online edition of the magazine. That's a members only benefit. So on a real concrete level, getting a subscription to our magazine, which is wildly popular, is a reason to join AMS. But there are other reasons. Amy?
Yeah, I think networking for Montessori teachers, also for Montessori heads of schools, is, it's just a wonderful way to learn and to share ideas with colleagues. There's a listserv for teachers. There's also ones for heads of schools. So if you're dealing with a problem or you have a wonderful happening at your school, you can share that with literally thousands of people right away using.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to add we have added new listservs. We also have one for peace, and we have one for our teacher educators. So 4 listservers for our members.
And then along with those, other things that I have found so invaluable are some of the actual interest groups, like one for public policy. There's a marvelous, very powerful involved research committee that's working collaboratively with AMI. And the one I'm very involved with right now is the Peace Committee, and it has many different aspects to it. So all of those are possible to become members of some of the communities and the committees. But I wanted to add one more thing about the Montessori Life. I have every copy of my Montessori Life, and when I give talks, I always pull them out because the information is invaluable. I really love the research that's done and presented.
I also say that AMS is working hard to reach members that are not just people traveling to the conference and those annual events. There are new webinars that are coming out all the time that are really easy to kind of plug into and learn more about, from administrators in the office to first-year teachers in the classroom. So the legs go all over, and it's really easy to access some really great information as a member of AMS.
So is there anything else that you want to add?
Well, Amy, you are one of the co-chairs of our upcoming conference. Do you think you could talk a little bit about all the great stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Now, these are the keynote speakers, and I don't know if you're familiar with Temple Grandin, but this is an autistic person. First, I should have told you that the theme is Montessori, Unity, and Diversity. So, Dr. Montessori talked about that and talked about, being a global citizen. And so, really, the keynotes encompass that with Temple Grandin, who thinks in pictures. And so, she's going to share with us, how her life has evolved and some of her personal experiences about that. Andrew Solomon, he wrote a book called Far From the Tree, which are stories from families and how they were impacted by their children that had quote-unquote special needs. John Hunter he is just a phenomenally exciting teacher who developed the World Peace Game, and so he's going to share that with us. And then Rob Evans, heads of schools, he talks about leaderships and the savvy leaders. He just wrote that book, which has been very, very popular. And then John Chet McNichols is down at the bottom, and he is an AMS member that did serve as our living legacy, like Judy has in the past. And John wrote the book, Montessori Controversy. And it was a wonderful, wonderful book about the elementary part of Montessori, which a lot of people, there's many, many preschools, and it really helped to make people aware of what is covered in the elementary levels and to get people to really start an elementary program where now the cusp is now starting middle school programs. So I think we're growing, and he's added to that. So we're really looking forward to it.
Another thing about the conferences is the energy and the excitement of seeing people that that people who are so committed to a different way of teaching children. And the workshops are phenomenal. There are many workshops.
There are workshops on all different interest levels. We have workshops for teachers of infants and toddlers all the way through secondary school, as well as workshops for administrators. And we welcome everyone at our conferences. We have people coming from all parts of the world. We'll have several thousands of people there. And additionally, in our organization, we welcome people from the world over. And you can join AMS regardless of what other affiliations you have.
And the other nice thing about our conference is that the day before the conference actually begins, we have what we call a day of service, in which we are going to work in an area that has some need for volunteers. And I just love that we are doing that.
Professionally made videos.
Whether you're a member or not, you can log on to amshq.org and you can download the conference book. You can read more about the keynote speakers and see if something grabs your attention.
So I am here with Karen Cudaby. Her company is Time Trace, and she's going to be talking to us about a really innovative Montessori product that is called Time Spirals. And Karen, tell me what you put together here.
Will do. You know, it's interesting. I understand that the Montessori community uses timelines. But I have been sensing for some time that one of the ways that can help people understand that we are actually in the story is to have a spiral of time where the present moment is in the center. So for every one of the 6 time spirals, what I do is I start on the outside and move to the inside. And so this comes in 6 stories, 6 of the mini stories. We're going to go speed really fast here.
That's great.
So the first one is called We Belong to the Universe. And you start with 13.7 billion years of star evolution, leading to the emergence of a rocky planet 4.5 billion years ago. But it didn't always look like this. So here's the story of our rocky planet through all of its different forms. Its molten form, its crustal form, the waters with iron dissolved in it, through to the snowball Earth, up through the ice ages, which only started 2.5 million years ago. It's as if you were taking pictures of the planet from out in space. This is what the surface would have looked like. This is called We Belong to Earth. Now, if you take this little section here, and now you focus it on that, this is called We Belong with All Life. So this starts with the Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, Permian, all the extinctions are here, Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, Cenozoic. Again, always leading to the present moment. Lots of stories you can tell with this. I mean, Carboniferous, hello, 7-foot-long millipedes. You know, there's just so many stories you can tell with each one of these sections, and many of them are told here. Flip this one over. This tells us the last 5,000 years of what we call human history. So everything having to do with the ancient civilizations, empires, all of that leading to today. And then take 5,000 years and start the multiplier effect. 50,000 years. What happened during that time period? You know, migrations out of Africa. Neanderthals die out. I mean, all of the stories you can tell there. 500,000 years. 5 million years with different hominid forms. 50 million years, different mammalian forms. 500 million years, 5 billion years. What we call our history is only 1/1,000,000 of Earth's story. Honing in even more than that, you have the last 360 years starting with year 1650. And in themes that are color-coded, bringing you to the present moment. Now what's really interesting about this is you think about yourself and your 2 parents and your 4 grandparents and your 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great, 32, 64, 128, 512. It took more than 8,000 individual direct ancestors for each one of us to be here today. And if any one of these people hadn't lived, you couldn't be here in this form. Talk about being surrounded by the ancestors.
Karen, I love it. I have to tell you something.
Yes.
This is a representation of your genealogy, but to me it's also a representation of your stardust.
It is totally. That's right, the calcium on our bones, yes. The iron in our blood, all coming from that original flaring core. Absolutely. Beautiful. And then this also goes out into the future. You can use this as a vision board and ask the children, what kind of a world would you want to have generations of the future be born into? And once you get past the no more hunger, no more homelessness, and you start saying, well then what is there more of? Well, there's more love, there's more belonging, there's more knowing where we can live at. So then you write those up and that becomes your vision board. So these come in the two-dimensional form, which is really great because they're really nice to handle, they're really hefty because they're laminated. They come in the three-dimensional form, turn and follow it that way. They come in poster form. So all of that is available on the website, www.tinytrace.com. Oh, and one more thing. Each one of these comes with a dedicated sheet per side. So you've got the text, all the text that can go with this to help teachers or anyone who just wants to learn more about our story. This will be very helpful.
Karen, this is wonderful. I feel like you have made cosmic education more accessible. We have lots of teachers who are very new to Montessori. I think this will help them, but it will also help their children to visualize it and to see their amazing place in the universe.
That's the whole point. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.